Welcome to This Explainer. Go ahead and mentally grab your absolute favorite pen, crack open a fresh notebook, and let's get started. Today we're going to completely transform the kind of tedious chore of cleaning up into a highly strategic productivity hack. We are literally writing a brand new playbook for how you start and end your day so we can finally swap out procrastination for unstoppable momentum.
Here's the table of contents for our productivity journal today. We'll be covering the friction of starting, clearing to neutral, the science of order, the shutdown ritual, and finally, priming your future self.
All right, let's crack this open to Chapter 1, the friction of starting.
Why do we procrastinate? It's a question we've all probably frantically scribbled in the margins of our notebooks at some point, usually right when a massive deadline is looming. We secretly worry, am I just chronically lazy? Do I have zero willpower? But what if we've been completely misdiagnosing the problem this whole time?
Well, productivity writers point out something huge. Procrastination actually isn't laziness. It's a reaction to friction. Just imagine sitting down to write, but wait, first you've got to clear crusty coffee cups off your desk, then sort through a pile of unorganized sticky notes, and finally navigate a computer browser that's gasping for air with 34 open tabs. All that visual clutter forces your brain to make a dozen tiny, exhausting decisions before you even type a single word. That is friction, and it is the silent killer of your momentum.
Let's flip the page over to Section 2, Clearing to Neutral. You're definitely going to want to grab your highlighter for this one. Clearing to neutral. This concept actually comes straight from the clean-as-you-go mindset of the restaurant industry. It simply means resetting your environment the absolute second you finish an activity, so everything is put back into a neutral, ready-to-use position.
Think about it like a busy restaurant grill. If a head chef leaves a greasy, dirty grill at closing time, they are practically guaranteeing a total disaster for tomorrow's shift. Bacteria grows, the morning prep is a stressful nightmare, and the food suffers. Well, in your own life, when you leave your digital tabs open or your physical workspace cluttered, you're essentially leaving a dirty grill for your future self to deal with the next morning.
This perfectly captures a major mindset shift that James Clear talks about. He shares this great story of an IT developer named Oswald Knuckles, who calls this process resetting the room. Knuckles realized we aren't just doing boring chores, we're preparing for the next action. As he brilliantly puts it, he's just being proactively lazy. By doing a tiny bit of setup work now, he buys his future self totally effortless execution later on.
Let's jot down a new heading for Chapter 3, the science of order.
Now, we aren't just talking about aesthetic preferences here. There is hard science backing up our notebook theory. A really fascinating 2026 study tested this exact idea on first-year civil engineering students. Researchers had them tackle a timed cognitive task, a canoodle puzzle, under two very different conditions: a perfectly organized desk and a completely disorganized one. And the data is absolutely clear. An organized workspace literally led to faster task completion, speeding up the students by an average of 12.5 seconds. The researchers figured out that a disorganized desk creates visual competition, meaning your brain has to work overtime just to regulate your attention. Put simply, visual clutter taxes your brain. Clearing things to neutral removes that tax, which cuts down distraction and lets you lock in and focus.
Moving right along, let's turn to Chapter 4, the shutdown ritual.
Because clearing your physical space is really only half the battle, right? We also have to clear our minds. This brings us to a wildly popular concept from Cal Newport, the shutdown ritual. It's a short, intentional, 5 to 15-minute routine you do at the very end of your workday. Why is it so crucial? It prevents the Zeigarnik effect. That's just a fancy psychological term for your brain's exhausting habit of continuously obsessing over unfinished tasks all evening long. So the trick here is to follow these exact steps to achieve total closure. First, check your working memory files. Your physical notebooks or those random sticky notes. Second, transfer all those loose thoughts into your master task list. Third, prioritize and plan out tomorrow. And fourth, execute a final completion signal. By getting everything out of your head and onto paper, you finally give your brain permission to completely log off.
In fact, Newport famously caps off his ritual by saying a definitive phrase out loud, something like schedule shutdown complete. Sure, it might feel a little robotic at first, but it acts as a massive psychological cue, telling your subconscious mind that the workday is 100% over. No more ruminating.
And that brings us to our final chapter, Section 5, Priming Your Future Self.
Let's create a literal checklist you can copy right into your own journal. To drastically drop your stress levels, you have to clear your digital workspace just as ruthlessly as your physical one. According to the digital minimalist approach, your end-of-day checklist should look like this. Close out all your apps and tabs. Save any floating digital notes. Process that email inbox down to zero. Shred unnecessary physical paper. And for goodness sake, put away those lingering coffee cups. You are setting the stage so tomorrow's performance goes off without a hitch.
Now, if the idea of a full-blown shutdown ritual feels completely overwhelming today, don't sweat it. Enter Vihan Shelier's 2-minute rule. He recommends shrinking massive, intimidating goals down into bite-sized, totally effortless actions. Want to clean the whole kitchen? Just wash the skillet. Want to work out 5 times a week? Drop and do 20 push-ups. Want a full digital reset? Just start by closing your browser tabs. These 2-minute actions are ridiculously easy to start, but they instantly build the momentum you need to form real habits.
So, as we close our notebooks on this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Take a quick look around your current workspace right now, both the physical and the digital. What 2-minute favor can you do today to save yourself 30 minutes of agonizing friction tomorrow? Because at the end of the day, high performers don't leave problems for tomorrow, they leave systems. Go ahead, do your future self a favor. Until next time, keep learning and keep optimizing.